サタンしろ
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 205 of the Saturn Studs podcast. I'm Kurt, once again joined this week by my insatiable co-hosts, Peter and Jake.
Ravenous, unstoppable, and we're joining you. How could we not make this the cruiserweight edition of the cast?
It's just impossible.
We made weight.
We did make it. Took a lot of bulking in my case and cutting in Jake and Peter's case, but we got there.
I wore sweatpants and garbage bags, and I just hung out in a pool area. And I just jogged. I did steps. That's what kids in my school used to do. They used to just go into the pool area and then go just jog up and down the steps because it was so dang humid up there. They just sweat it all out.
I got an uncredited physician to open a porthole on my love handles. I stepped on that one ride on the fucking playground where they spin you around really fast.
The
and I
just
yeah, and I just scrambled that shit out.
Oh, on the playground. Oh, I was thinking theme park for some reason. But that too.
That's industrial.
That works too. That's the industrial strength version. That's when you really got it. When you gotta go from like 305 to 205 and you got a week. That's what you do.
And of course, as always, we're coming at you live from the GW Zoo down in Great Windham County, Oklahoma.
Winterwood,
Oklahoma.
Great Winterwood, Oklahoma.
The meth capital of the world, apparently.
Yeah.
Main exports are teeth.
So we went through and watched the whole Tiger King Netflix series that I'm sure you've heard nothing about and in no way has taken the internet by storm.
Very obscure. Nobody really knows a whole lot about it.
Netflix is not promoting it at all.
No.
We really had to do some digging to find it.
Yeah, this shit has been everywhere. TikTok loves it. Oh my god.
Well,
What do they do
like you
with it?
shared it on Facebook, it's basically white trash Game of Thrones.
It is, yeah. It really is. I hate to say it. There are so many dumb parallels to it. There's like the bad character that you follow. There's the bitch down in Florida that you all hate. You all want to see go down, but she never does. Then you have like the love interest. You have the drama love interest. You have the person who like double crosses everybody, advisors. Like, it's nuts, dude. There's so many hierarchies I would never have thought of in trash.
In the fucking big cat trading sphere. You've got...
Dude, I don't...
This is crazy.
Is it something with the urine of a cat that makes people
Toxoplasmosis?
go fucking insane? I feel like it's just... Something's not right with people.
I mean, like, swear to God, like, fucking in this show, and we'll talk more about it at the appropriate time, but I just want to hit some bullet points for you. In this show, there is a dude running a fucking freaky sex cult, ex-drug kingpin who honestly comes across as the most decent human being in the whole fucking series.
He's the most sane, and he's what Scarface was based off of.
And fucking... a girl who probably murdered her husband and may or may not have fed him to tigers to get rid of the body.
And somehow gets free labor, too.
Oh, my God. With her fucking indoctrinate that... Jeez. There's a lot to unpack with this. And
the main focus is Joe
The main
Exotic.
character.
is
The main character.
The protagonist.
He is basically a character.
He is a character.
The protagonist is Joe Exotic, who's a polyamorous
gay man
can
who
only
was
assume-
in a relationship with... married to two straight men.
Yeah, the funniest thing I've ever seen was somebody compared him to James Charles and what's his face? Jeffree Star, because they always say like they're attracted to straight guys. And they're like, I was dating one for 5 years. I'm really attracted to him. And then here's Joe Exotic coming in. I'm married I married 2
at the same time.
straight guys at the same time for 13 years, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot to get into with that. But first, we have our regular departments, and I'd like to talk to you all about a brand new podcast that has just started. They just put up their first episode, and the people running it are really good people. Joshua of this podcast reached out to us asking us if we could promote a show on our show, and I said, yeah, I'm all about helping the little guy grow. So please check out Central Florida Film Review. It's a podcast that uses the power of trailers, audio, and voiceover to help change the way you look at movies. They produce new episodes each week and review both upcoming movies and older iconic films. Central Florida Film Review is hosted by Josh Harover, sorry if I mispronounced your name, a communications student at the University of West Florida who's trying to develop a career in voiceover and radio broadcasting. Anyone who listens to the show and anyone who can support the podcast would be greatly appreciated. I did take a listen to their first episode. He discusses A Few Good Men, and it's a very easy to digest show, right now at least. Their first episode runs a total of 12 minutes. So
Good shit.
really nice, bite-sized.
I like the concise podcast.
Yeah, it's good.
I listen to a short one as well, and like they're nice to just throw on your like car ride to wherever, and you actually finish it the entire thing by the time you get to where you're going.
You retain all that information. Yeah. So check out Central Florida Film Review. And listen for the Saturn Studs plug that'll be on that show.
Yeah. Film review, may you pass us in our entirety.
Yes, you will.
That's my blessing unto you.
You will clearly become the much bigger show in a matter of weeks. We'll be asking you
and
for
you
favors.
can sponsor us.
Yeah. All right, so
I'm once again asking for your cross promotion.
I am once again asking for your cross promotions. Coronavirus has wreaked havoc on my stock portfolio. I'm relying again on you for donations so I can maintain my summer home.
Casters can have a little audience promotion as a treat.
Jesus. All right, Trey Watch. We've got one, and like weirdly, I've got one rather, I should say. And weirdly, this is like this is a very obscure film, and it's a sequel to another film that like not a lot of people would have heard about. But like shockingly, I'm almost 100%. If I remember correctly, Jake of all people did bring up this fucking movie. This is the trailer for Peninsula.
The audience at home can't see me, but I'm nodding my head.
Smugly.
Yes, I know exactly. Hey, you were a connoisseur of South Korean films myself.
Yeah, like fucking. I was like, wait a minute. Train to Busan. Didn't Jake talk about this? And yes, Jake brought up the prequel to Peninsula, a South Korean zombie movie. Train to, what was it? Busan.
So Train to Busan.
Yeah, was the original film, and Jake just randomly was talking about this when we were talking about Parasite. Brought this up.
Yeah, like I mean I heard of Train to Busan. It's probably a couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and this Philip DeFranco is a YouTuber. Just like could not stop raving about it, and he brought it up multiple times. So I'm like, heck, screw it. I'll give it a watch. I like zombie movies, even if it's bad. Whatever. It was actually really good. The premise was somebody got on a train, and the zombie apocalypse started as he got on the train, and the different stops he would see different things. Like there was one stop that was completely deserted, and there was just like fucking a wall of zombies that just like came out of nowhere, and then the outbreak happens on the train as well. So it was a pretty good story, and it ended with a decent sized cliffhanger of him like getting to safety. And Peninsula seems like it takes place after the like outbreak. It seems like it's like 4 years after the outbreak started, and everything shut down, government shut down, and like you kind of get into like a little bit of a Mad Max
We're
vibe.
comparing the fucking zombie apocalypse to the coronavirus right now.
I know, I'm trying.
Everything's
not to,
fucking
like, outbreak.
I mean, everything's dead. Like shut down. Like coronavirus shuts things down. Zombie apocalypse kills
But I
things.
still have to go into work.
So do I. I also have to go into work every day at 5 a.m. Not 5 a.m.
Jake, are you like out? Are you like did they put you home and said don't
Yeah.
work on any shit?
Well, I'm working on stuff, but I'm just working at home. So, 'cause I
gotcha.
don't have to go into
Must
any
be
lab or
nice.
anything. It is.
It's actually not so bad because there's no traffic. And hey, if I weren't coming into work, I wouldn't
Hey.
be able to take things from work.
That's some fucking unicorn time right there. No traffic in New Jersey.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
right.
crazy.
Around here too.
Every time I'm like, I'll call my girlfriend on my way home. And like every time I'm like, I'm actually kind of going to miss this when everything, ramps back up because I really enjoyed being able to get a little extra sleep and not having to sit in traffic for almost an hour every morning.
Joke's on you. This is just gonna combo into a fucking recession. So everyone will
hoping-
just stay jobless.
What do you mean combo? We're already in a recession.
They're really trying not to like call it that. Like, no, don't say the R word.
Well, this is interesting now.
We swear.
I know this is not an economics podcast, but it's kind of interesting. This is going to be like our first point of historical data because typically the longer it takes you to enter a bear market, the longer it takes to get out of it, which makes sense because if it like the economy is just naturally slowing down, there's not like a quick fix to that. But we went from bull to bear like that. We just got Thanos snapped right into a bear market.
I mean, that's why. Yeah, that's why you saw like historical records for the Dow dropping like 2,000 points since 1973.
And
And then
I'm-
and
Had
then
to
it's
pull
like,
the brakes on it multiple times.
yeah, it was amazing just to see those circuit breakers trigger on the stock market. Like it sucked. Don't get me wrong, but it's fascinating to see their system work. And
so if you have some extra money kicking around, now's a good
Yeah.
time to invest.
here at Stock Studs, I recommend Boeing if anything. Really, Boeing just dropped a little bit.
Well, you got to make sure you have to
And-
be careful with Boeing because they were in pretty rough shape. Like their stock was kind of heavily papered before all this happened, and like
Yeah,
if
hotel industries, I think too. I've just been doing SPY. Anything S&P 500 seems like it's a really safe bet.
Yeah, I
If
have
it
to-
bounces back.
do some more research into some of the companies that are low right now to see what I want to buy into.
Yeah, and S&P 500. If anybody's curious, it's that's the index fund where it's an index fund that covers all 500 of the most popular or biggest companies.
Stocks,
Apple,
yeah.
Tesla, all this stuff. So it kind of hits on everything.
Yes.
And right now everything is down.
So, and also, if you were in Peninsula, that would be a good time to invest, assuming the economy ever recovered.
He brought it back. I was waiting to just come and be like, Peninsula, guys.
I saw you get antsy. So
Of all the tangents on this show, I think this is currently the most informative.
there is educational value to this program. It's not just three assholes coming on, dicking around for 2 hours. There are nuggets of information buried in here.
Are they brown nuggets?
No, they're green.
Oh no.
Which can
that
either
brings
be
back-
like you've got the green apple splatter going, or you're smoking some good reefer. Either way, it's an option select.
Oh,
yeah, so
split pea soup.
to go back onto Peninsula,
They don't have any option
it's
selects in
interesting 'cause it's
Peninsula.
it's a little like Mad Max, where there's kind of like this, I guess, survival group that's still around in places, and I don't know. It seems like they made like a community just to survive this time, and like there was a point where they put these people in like a fight ring, and they had to fight against this mess of zombie thing. It's gonna be bizarre, I think, but it's gonna be good.
It's really
The effects look great.
convenient that they still have gas to put in the cars.
Yeah. 4 years after, some things would be expired or run out, but who knows? Yeah, so that Train to Busan
Peninsula. Fast and the Furious presents Train to Busan presents The Fate of the Peninsula.
It's about zombies.
It's about zombie family.
Zombie family.
Yeah, coming soon. I don't
Coming
know if they have a release
2020.
date.
They understandably have not put a release date on it because no one knows when theaters will open again.
Yeah.
They will open again. I want to reiterate that, like, this will eventually pass. We will gain a degree of normalcy, but no one knows quite when.
Yeah.
So for now, we're just sitting tight and looking at the new #1 movie in America, which is not a new movie at all. Movie is called Strike. It was released in 2019. It is a animated film about I will read to you the description. A young mole must try to achieve his impossible dream of becoming a footballer in order to save his hometown gold mine from a greedy supervillain known only as the Boss. This is a real movie.
This is the Mad Libs of children's animated movie. Like a young mole must try to achieve an impossible dream of becoming a footballer in order to save his hometown gold mine from a greedy supervillain known only as the Boss.
I mean, I'm surprised that they got the rights to use the Boss from Metal Gear in their fucking low-budget independent animated movie.
Yeah, right?
Mole Eater.
They were in 2 theaters.
Yes.
And it's made a whole fucking $11,000.
Yeah, worldwide $11,000.
It made
Domestic,
what the
20
fuck?
It made 1,900 this go around, but I think I have to point out, like, that 11,000 worldwide. I'm pretty sure that, like, dates back to its original run.
Oh, I'm sure.
Do we want to follow up on this?
Well, yes, because I already have the IMDb open. So Strike 2019 from 2018? Question mark. IMDb has no idea when this movie came out.
Yeah. All right. We got 6 user reviews. I think we can just hit them all.
Yeah, we'll just read them all because we only had one fucking trailer. All right, so we'll we'll leave Jake the 1-star review because there is one of them.
Okay.
Hold on, I need to find this thing.
I'll link you.
There's so many different stripes.
I got you, fam.
All right, good.
And then I gotta find. Let's before we do this, let's find at least some footage of this movie.
Okay, I've got you on that too, because I wanted to see how terrible the animation was.
Yeah, because somebody was saying
It's not like Food Fight bad, but it's not great.
It's down there. Oh, good giggle fish.
Well, it's not like it's not CGI. It's
yeah.
or at least it's a pretty convincing
stop
motion reenactment if it is CGI.
It looks like one of those like alternate art Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's incredibly true. Those were so weird.
Yeah.
I hated
Like
those.
where they're just like, here, we'll make a Corsola out of we'll make a stuffed animal Corsola and put it on a set, take a picture, Pokemon art.
Fucking pocket lint.
I mean, you can definitely tell that everything in this movie was handmade, for better or worse.
Yeah. I notice how on all the soccer scenes or the football scenes, as it were, they just animate the one guy because they could not animate an entire football field of guys, plus the entire pitch and the crowd.
Ooh, a pit.
Impossible.
Oh, Peter.
Wait, aren't moles blind?
Yeah. Well, some of them.
It depends on how you consider blind.
Oh, he's got the dark vision. You see his dark vision in this.
Yeah. Exclusively at
They looked at the camera.
Uh-oh. They looked at the camera.
Exclusively at View.
11th of May, 2019.
So this is 2019. I was like, this is a preview run, but no, this is year old.
This is possibly 2 years, because it says IMDb calls it Strike and then puts 2019 as part of the title, but then has a 2018 next to it. So no one's quite sure when this movie. It's of mysterious origin. Oh geez, that's going to be an issue. I'm just looking at Discord and like the green thing that comes up when we're talking now. I got to make sure that doesn't show up on the stream. Okay. So I'll start, I guess, and I got a short one. So Peter's gonna have the essay here. Charming film, charming story with quirky characters, loved, heady, one for the family. There's 4 exclamation points after loved, heady, and that's its own sentence. And one for the family only gets 1 exclamation mark. So not as strong. They don't feel as strongly about it being one for the family as they do about their love for Hetty. Tracy Howard, 37,000 with that review, written March 3rd, 2020.
All right. Next one we got here. Mark J. Hadley, The Charm of Independent Animation, still live and kicking. Now, this is a UK release, I think, so I'm going to put a little bit, just to put a little bit of an accent on there.
Please don't let it devolve into your goddamn...
What an incredible film! Everything has been animated and designed by actual people, parentheses, not computers. And you can really tell how much work was to go into the film. All right, that's enough of that.
You know it's a bad voice when it hurts you to do it.
It's like trying to fucking wrangle a bull. You can't keep a hold on it. It's going. It has great music. The script and characters are funny. There really is something in there for everyone. 9.5 out of 10. It reminds me of Wallace and Gromit back in the day.
Wallace and Gromit.
Also, my kids loved it. Good. They already want to watch it again. So I highly recommend checking out this great film. Ignore the haters. We live in the world of superheroes and blockbusters. Shiny but soulless. Well, this film has a soul. And a lot of heart. If you want a film made by people, not computers, check out Strike/Mungo.
So is there an alternate title for this?
I guess so.
Apparently it's Jerry Mungo in the summertime.
Wow. Like,
13 out of 22.
I've never been more convinced that a review was written by a filmmaker than I am that this review was written by this person who made this film. All right. Jake, why don't you just read the 1 star right off, because we're not going to hit it quite right if we don't do it that way.
1 out of 10. One of the worst animation. Or sorry, hold on. One of the worst animations I've ever seen. I'm trying to do a really bad UK accent.
Well, you're doing a really bad UK accent.
You're doing great.
You're doing great in that regard.
I'm not going to even try. I'm done. I'm really disappointed with myself. The animation is really bad, just like my accent. The characters are so ugly.
It's actually written there.
Self-depreciate.
Terrible.
Where we read reviews in a self-deprecating tone.
Yeah.
It's just really bad, like my own.
He's really down on myself.
Low self-esteem
Just like my work
reviews.
ethic.
Studs with low self-esteem.
Really not exciting, just like my sex life. Voice acting is terrible. Not to mention the accent, the way the act. Wait, they actually say that in the review. Not to mention the accent, the way the act is unbearable. It's so unnatural. Moreover, the speed is so slow, and the beginning part is so boring. So there's too many so's. Too many so's. So it gives me the feeling of watching the boring opera. After 5 minutes of running time, I really wanted to stop, but I gave it a chance.
5 minutes,
So
wow.
I watched for another 8 minutes. Another 8 minutes passed. I couldn't bear it anymore. Therefore, I finally decided to stop.
I think this is an Italian person. I don't think English is their first language.
Probably. Because I didn't watch it to the end, I admit that I don't know how it ends or what happens next. The story might be good, but because of its very bad animation quality, it turned out to be a terrible animation.
Wrong.
It's really a waste of time. Thus, I wouldn't recommend anyone to watch this animation.
Well, that means
That one's the
11
right
for
out of
sure
26
it's an
from
American
myself.
then if they screw up its.
So the person's name is Silver Mistvio. Silver Mistvio.
11 out of
On the
26.
6th of September, 2019. Didn't watch it all the way. How can you even trust this guy?
Oh,
And he used so too many times.
Kurt, you got to read the one above it.
best movie ever made.
Yeah.
Best movie ever made. This, yeah. Destiny, My Love, Destiny, and Chicken. September 19th, 2019. Same day Borderlands came out. Or was that October 19th? No, I think it was September.
Who knows?
Made me laugh, made me cry. Mungo, you stinky little mole, go get that gold. I watched like a third of the movie.
So good.
9 out of 20 found that helpful. Oh,
Jake, you're gonna read. You're gonna read underrated movie by Mohammed Kazaz, and then I'll read amazingly well crafted film by Jeremy 181. So, big family gathering, and we took all the kids, nieces, and nephews to see Strike. They all loved it. Some of the characters, especially Hetty, really resonated with the gang way better than most of the generic rubbish hoist upon us nowadays. 0 out of 0 found this helpful. Good job, buddy.
Which one do you want me to read? Underrated movie?
Yeah.
So, all right, 9 out of 10 underrated movie.
Underrated bunny.
Released in 2018? This is totally an underrated movie. When is it fucking released? The animation is great, and the effort to produce such an amazing quality stop-motion film from an independent studio is surely respectable. Don't call me Shirley. But, the storyline, on the other hand, is very good too. It has some flaws, but not a deal breaker. This is a hidden gem. Highly recommend.
12 out of 21 found this helpful.
I guess you had to watch more than 13 minutes in order to get the entire...
well, I don't
guess.
know.
That's a real fucking hump there right there. I guess it's a really divisive opening. You either like it or you don't.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who only watched a third of the movie said it was the best movie ever made. It made him laugh and cry. He called Mungo a stinky little...
He was so drunk. Made me laugh, made me cry. Mungo, you stinky little Mungo, get that
I
gold.
watched a third of the movie. I knew it'd be red.
I want this framed. Everything about it is just so perfect.
Yeah, that's a Hall of Famer right there. That's one of the best IMDb user reviews we've ever read, without peer.
Even the fucking username.
Yeah, Destiny, I love
Destiny.
Destiny and chicken.
Oh my god. All right, so that was the real treasure here, not the movie. The movie's probably fine. Seems very watchable. Kids like it. Sure.
It's got a 5.1 out of 10.
Oh fuck.
Overall
It
score.
seems average.
Yeah, that would be average. There's no other like Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic. Like 6 people have seen this movie, and they're the 6 people who submitted those reviews. Never mind the fact that there's 98 ratings on IMDb. Those people those are dummy accounts.
And this has been out for 2 years?
Possibly. No one's quite sure. This movie is very mysterious. Like, we know less about this than we do Ninja Operation. Which is a true statement.
This movie
That is
This movie
very
did really
sad.
bad.
What?
Because it's been out for 2 years and it's only made like 11,000.
Well, it looks like it was on like a streaming platform.
Yeah, View, whatever the fuck
I don't-
that is.
I wonder
I don't know how long it's been in
I know
theaters.
what PlayStation View is, but I think that's a different thing.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Maybe it's like the Sky News version of Netflix or something.
It's
I
the
don't know.
Skynet version,
Sky. Well, like they're like Sky is like
or
a
Legion. Yeah, I know Sky is.
huge thing over there.
That's
in the
like their
UK.
major cable provider.
Yeah.
Sky and
I'm wondering if
ITV,
that's-
or I think are the two major.
Let's look this up. Let's investigate. View streaming. There's an app for it. Oh, PlayStation View.
Yeah, I see. That's what's going to come up most of the time.
Yeah. It's all.
Well,
PlayStation.
the movie we looked at last week, Phoenix, Oregon, comes in nipping at its heels, down 57.5% though. In 8 more theaters? What 8 theaters opened?
Stop it! Go home, everybody. Social distance.
Stay
yourself.
home.
They're in Florida.
I'm wondering if they're like individual home theaters for like the wealthy that are like, let's buy a movie and have the reel sent to our house. Well, not real, but like you know what I
A
mean.
print or whatever. Maybe. I don't know.
They send over. It's like a hard drive, I think. That's what they send. Them
Yeah,
over.
it's a big old, like, you stick it in there.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that. I'm assuming there has to be some super rich people who have like an actual movie theater in their
And there's
house.
one in the White House, or was at one point, I believe. There was a bowling alley.
Silver screen on the White
There was
House.
a bowling alley in the White House at one point, and then got converted into a basketball court, I think.
Classic.
That's racist.
I'm pretty sure that's what
Obama was
happened.
president.
Which president did it, Jake?
I'm gonna assume Obama.
Hold on. I'm not sure that they
For really
actually
obvious
Kurt's
converted.
about to fucking Snopes you so
Well,
hard.
no, I just want to see if I remember. I don't know if he installed a basketball court or they got rid of the bowling alley to do it. I don't know if they were. I don't know if it's in addition to or instead of. White House bowling alley is a 1-lane bowling alley in the basement of the White House under the north
So sad. A 1-lane bowling alley. Come on, you can't even get like.
bowling.
Does it have
different oil patterns.
Does it have cosmic bowling though?
No, but there's.
I'm sure they can
Oh
turn
my
the lights
God!
off.
There's a wonderful picture of former President George W. Bush, with a George W. Bush face, trying to bowl
W.
here in his
In a
three-piece suit.
Nuclear.
Or no, it's just 2. Visitors can. There's Nixon. White House basement. Dwight D. Eisenhower's first bowling alley was added by Richard Nixon in 1969. There had previously been a bowling alley in the West Wing built for President Truman in 1947, which had been moved to the old executive office building in 1955. I cannot find anything about it being replaced with the basketball court.
That looks like a lane ball. He doesn't even have his own bowling ball. What a nerd.
Well, I mean, if the lane is in your house, aren't all the lane balls your bowling ball?
Balls. Yeah.
No. 'cause
That's
it's
got to
different
be one of the
lane
funner
bowling.
parts of the.
No core. Some surface
hi,
finish. Come
Ellie.
on, it's not fitted.
Oh my god!
That's got to be one of the funner parts of the presidential onboarding. It's like they get your finger size.
My bunny just jumped into my lap.
Oh, that's so fucking cute.
He's so sweet.
So
Just want to
goddamn
goddamn
adorable.
throw up on the tiles on my bowling shoes. Ugh.
White House basketball court. Nice layup, Mr. President. Not so far from the swimming pool. The White House basketball. Nope, Ellie, not on the keyboard, please. Relax.
It is.
Choose everything.
White House pets are wonderful, but they are disruptive to your podcast. Not so far from the swimming pool, the White House basketball court has been used for occasional games by presidents and their staffs and families. George H.W. Bush installed it in 1991. following the horseshoe pits and the tennis court he had installed 2 years later. This
Horseshoe
dude is
pits.
fucking spent a lot of taxpayer money installing a horseshoe pit, a basketball court, and a tennis court in the White House.
I get why my parents voted for him now.
No,
We love horseshoes. At
wasn't
my
he
house.
the fucking read my lips, no more taxes? He'd spent that money
Yep.
though.
No.
President Obama takes a shit.
Jake, I need to know about your horseshoe habits now.
Turns out I'm just racist.
President Obama with the University
I don't care
of
about your
Connecticut.
racism, Jake. I want to hear about
What?
your fucking horseshoe pit at Buffalo.
Oh, my buffalo horseshoe pit?
Yeah.
it's not that
That
special.
sounds like a fucking Urban Dictionary sex move right there.
I'm
So,
already looking
horseshoe
it
pit.
up.
Yeah, so like we have just up in our backyard, up near the garden. My dad was just like, you know what? I want to play horseshoes, and he just cut a piece of grass out and staked in a couple poles. And I don't think he put like actual sand there, but he measured it out and just put a couple stakes there.
Unfortunately, there's no Urban Dictionary entry for a Buffalo horseshoe pit, so we'll have to make one.
Just be the change you want
Yeah.
to see. Yeah. All right, Jake. Now that you have a professional opinion, you may have experienced all of these. Which is your favorite? Horseshoes, cornhole, or bocce?
Bocce.
Fucking
Really?
Italian son of a bitch. Of course, you'd say bocce
Bocce
ball.
Bocce ball, because I think it's more dynamic, and it also brings back better memories. Like I had smoked my first cigar playing bocce ball. All my dad's
Bougie
friends would
son
have
of
a
a
bunch
bitch.
of people over, and they all played bocce ball during a party. And they're all smoking a cigar or something like that, or smoking cigar or cigarette. And I'm like, hey, Dad, can I have one? He's like, Jake, go in the shed, up on like the top shelf, on the tool cabinet. There should be a pack of cigars. You can grab one. And I was like, cool. My mom was like, well, okay, he is 12, so
That's the age that, you know.
1 inch for every year
True
you're born.
story.
I think I was like 15 or 16.
I was like 16 at the time, and we were in New York City. And my Uncle Ernest is like the fucking worst enabler ever. And we went to this bar. And again, I'm like 16 at the time. And he just like walks over and he drops a beer in front of me. And he's like, here, have a beer. I was like,
Yeah, what age are you? 8, 10? Yeah,
put hair on your chest.
take a pint. Be a cool story to tell all your friends.
Yeah. That was an
Whereas
interesting.
I feel like your relatives always want to be that cool relative, the cool uncle. They want to enable you, and they want to be the one that gets with stuff. Sometimes it backfires.
Well, I mean, in fairness, I mean, probably when my Uncle Ernest was a kid, the drinking age was 16.
Oh yeah, I mean compared to that, they're like, yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, I don't think the drinking age was ever 16. Just for historical records. All right, how are we doing on time here? Have we wasted enough for this to be? Okay, we're 38 minutes in. I guess we can talk about gaming news now.
Yeah, we can see what's up with gaming. I did see one story that The Last of Us 2 was delayed indefinitely. So yay, COVID. Thanks. But who knows? They might have been
I'm
other
pretty
reasons.
sure, like, unless it isn't finished and they have to send all their staff home, I don't see why they couldn't release it.
I'm sure,
Wasn't
well,
it
I don't
slated
know.
for a May release? I would hope it'd be done by now.
Yeah, it must be just. It probably honestly could just be anything delaying it. It could not be like, might not be like the COVID release. But then again, maybe they're dealing with like distributors and some stuff like that. Other stuff. Maybe the game is actually finished, but they can't roll it out to places. But then digital copies. So I don't know. Unless they want to do it all at the same time.
Yeah. After a disastrous launch, Steam top seller Last Oasis is temporarily going offline and giving full refunds. So, I did not hear about this, but apparently there's I did not investigate Last Oasis. PC gamers seem to have liked it quite a bit, but a deep-rooted server issue has made Last Oasis unplayable for most. So its developers taking the game offline while they figure it out. So Last Oasis is a early access MMO released on March 26th. But by that same evening, they were experiencing many issues. So they did the right thing by taking it offline to work it out and giving people their money back. So that's good. Because if they were like, oh, we'll just honor your purchase when it comes back online, well, what if it doesn't come back online for 8 months? You get your money back in your pocket, which is, I think that's the right thing to do. Controversy surrounding Borderlands 3. Developers are reportedly in financial struggles after big royalty checks that were promised to them failed to materialize. This is according to a Kotaku report, so take it with a large grain of salt, because Kotaku has never reported anything that wasn't true before. Gearbox employees accept below industry standard pay because they're promised big profit-sharing bonuses after major releases, but big apparently doesn't describe the first round of Borderlands 3 checks. So I don't know did they not receive checks or were they less than they expected. Profit-sharing arrangement to compensate 60% of game royalties go to the company and its owners, but the remaining 40% is divided among employees. Big success of Borderlands 2 in 2012 resulted in huge profit-sharing payments, big enough for some to buy houses, and multiple sources told Kotaku that they were led to believe Borderlands 3 would also result in a six-figure bonus. It was something Gearbox often touted while recruiting new employees. Yesterday, however, Gearbox boss Randy Pitchford reportedly told employees that this quarter's bonuses will be smaller than expected due to expanded headcount and high development costs. According to the report, Borderlands 3 cost around $140 million to make, including the DLC, a sum which had been paid back to publisher 2K before Gearbox would receive any royalty payments. To be clear, that's pretty standard how game development works. Unsurprisingly, Gearbox took a different perspective on the dashed expectations, noting at Kotaku that its profit-sharing program has paid out over $100 million in royalty bonuses above and beyond traditional compensation to its employees. So, I mean, I don't think there's much of a story here. I think it costs a lot of money to make, and because it was on Epic exclusively for 6 months, it probably didn't sell as well as it could have, at least on the PC side.
Yep.
And they didn't make as much money off of it as they predicted, so the employees are getting smaller bonuses. I'm sure that will increase next quarter now that the game's out on Steam and everyone's fucking stuck home, so they're going to be playing games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll get their money. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Who'd thunk?
So, if you're an avid looker of the calendar, you might have seen that just the other day it was March 31st, and then April 1st came right after that, which is a popular holiday known as April Fool's Day.
It's not a holiday.
Have you heard about this? I mean, I consider it a holiday.
Because you're an April
We
Fool.
Townsends.
Ha! Got him.
I am. My birthday's in April. I'm a fool.
Oh, that's right. Your birthday is in April.
My life is a joke, and my birth was a mistake. So, yeah. I mean, I consider myself an April Fool's joke just all around.
Gonna have to look at what date that is so I know when to get you your gift. I mean, I know entirely when your birthday is. Got it memorized.
So April Fool's was just the other day, and a couple games decided, hey, let's have fun with it. So here's a couple game April Fools that happened. So Overwatch had googly eyes on all of their champions or heroes or whatever the fuck they call them. So that was pretty cool. It snowed in GTA and Red Dead Redemption. Guild Wars 2 had a bunch of giant cats around. There was like just massive cats in the distance that were just like looming over menacingly. I think that was the best one. Pong was like downloadable for like as an RPG or something like that.
My
Pong
favorite
game.
Pokemon Showdown had April Fool's sprites for all the Pokemon, and my favorite amongst them was Corviknight, which like lifted up its helmet and revealed Skarmory hiding inside.
That's really funny. That's awesome.
He was here the whole time.
A couple game developers announced that they were making some maybe not so real games like FDG Entertainment are happy to announce a new game project, DuckTales Quack Shots.
Woo!
And I don't think that's actually happening. Super Hot made
Super Hot.
Pico 8 based demake
Oh God, the Pico 8.
called Pico Hot. It looks really funny. Apparently there was a way you could like get to that by doing a certain command, I think on Super Hot or something, and then you could download it. There were some other small ones, but yeah, so it was pretty interesting. The what games decided to come out with April Fool's jokes.
Yeah. Half-Life 2, they got running in VR using the Half-Life Alyx engine. There isn't much to say other than it's Half-Life 2 running, Half-Life 2 remake running in VR. Accidental crossplay between Star Wars Jedi Academy on PC and console is a slaughter. They weren't quite ready for it.
Turns out you have to balance those kind of things.
And judges rule that Call of Duty can have Humvees in it because games are all art. Apparently, there is some debate that Humvee is in violation of trademark law because it's a brand name.
Oh, like the actual name Humvee.
Huh.
But it's protected as artistic expression. Weak Xbox One Series X day one launch slate hands major PS5 victory. Xbox Series launch title lineup may be smaller than expected. This could hand the PS5 a major launch day win if it has more games to offer new players. However, Xbox Series X could win over a year after launch as it gets new players with steady release of exclusive games. So, like, nothing concrete in this article. It was kind of clickbaity. I should have read it before we went on air with it.
I've failed as a journalist.
PS5 update is great news for PS4 fans ahead of the big release date. PS5 release date is set to be one of the biggest events of gaming in 2020. Ahead of its price update, it has delivered some great news to PS4 gamers. Sony has yet to reveal the PS5 with plenty of details about its release date and
What's
price.
the good news for the PS4
PS4
people?
successor is still a mystery. We know it will have a release date during the holiday 2020 period. Sony has already done a deep dive into the specs of the PS4 successor. There's still plenty we don't know. Yeah, come on. These details, or is the PS5 likely to take place? Okay, yes, come on, just tell me. Official PS5 price reveal has emerged, which will be great news for PS4 gamers. It was revealed in a post by GameRant. GameRant broke a story? What?
Bullshit.
A Canadian retailer has started taking pre-orders for the PS5 and has listed a price. The price tag is very eye-catching, with the Play and Trade Vancouver store listing the PS5 as costing $559 Canadian dollars, which translates to $397 US dollars at the current exchange rate, or 324 euros.
Wow.
The Xbox Series X is rumored to cost anywhere up to $599.
So I'm assuming that the benefit for the PS4 players was that they're going to get a price break.
It's going to be less expensive to stay on Sony's side. So that's kind of a weird way to phrase that.
Really fucking buried it in there.
Amazon is giving Prime subscribers 5 free games worth a total of $100. All you need is a Twitch account, which is also free. Need something to take your mind. So let's see what else. What do we got here? You'll need a Twitch. There's one string attached. You must be an Amazon Prime subscriber. You'll need a Twitch account, and then you'll have to link it to your Prime account. From there, just head to the Amazon Twitch page and scroll down to the Games with Prime section at the bottom. All you have to do is click claim on one or more of them that are instantly added to your game library and yours to keep forever. To actually play them, you'll need either the Amazon Games app or Twitch desktop, so you'll need another launcher. Here's the roster of freebies. You have Earthlock, an indie RPG adventure for fans of turn-based combat. Etherborn, this looks like a blown-up version of the beloved mobile puzzler Monument Valley. Light Matter, an indie puzzler that has been likened to the iconic Portal. Kathy Rain, a graphic adventure that reminds the author of this article of old Sierra Online games. And Turok, a remastered version of the 1997 first-person shooter featuring
I'm down with
dinosaurs.
You seem strangely excited about that, Jake.
Have you never played Turok, Peter? It's pretty.
No.
You shoot dinosaurs.
Yeah, you shoot dinosaurs. All that shit. Like the old game, I played the old game on the original Xbox. That shit was
Well,
awesome.
that was.
And then they came out with that remake. Like a
Well,
long
the
time
Xbox
ago.
version was a remake because I'm pretty sure Turok was an N64 title.
N64 was maybe I'm thinking of N64. No, I played on Xbox. Yeah, and then then I played the remake. I guess the remake on the 360. I guess it would be when it came out again. It was. I mean, it was all right.
Yeah.
Better graphics. Cooler dinosaurs.
Cooler dinosaurs. Open it up. Get on the floor. I'm pretty sure that's what this version is, if I had to take a guess.
I'm hoping they wouldn't be releasing like a port for like an N64.
Just
Turok.
emulate it.
That'd be
Yeah, you like
freebie.
get in and it's like, okay, here's the ROM. Now download and install Project 64.
That works out.
Amazon is reportedly working on a cloud gaming platform codenamed Project Tempo. So yet another tech company looking to get in on the streaming gaming service. Let's see if they can manage to do it a little bit better than Google did with Stadia. Oh, by the way, YouTube Premium subscribers, you get free 3 months of Stadia.
Nice.
Yay.
Now we can play Stadia on the
As
go.
long as we have a Pixel.
It could play all such good games as games that are already
Games
out.
that
Other
we
games
already
that's already
own.
out.
Games that run better on our local machines.
It's like if Zune was a console.
The last Zune that they ever made was actually an incredible device. It had an OLED screen in 2009. That's
Pretty
crazy.
solid.
Like LCDs weren't even common back then.
Well, then when Stadia gets good, we know it'll finally be done.
Well, Microsoft is a little more stubborn than Google. Google gives up on their ventures that don't work out very easily. Microsoft's a little more stubborn. Speaking of stubborn,
Oh, fuck. The show! The show!
Tiger
a lot
King.
of stubborn people in this fucking show. Oh my god, where do we even
Hail the
start with
king.
this?
Well, first of all, fuck Carol Baskins. That dumb bitch out of Tampa, Florida. She's trying to take the GW Zoo out of commission. She's trying to take his cats.
I love the introduction to Carol Baskins because she's like walking through her big cat rescue. And she's like, we don't want these tigers in cages. I'm like, bitch, that tiger's in a smaller cage than he was in Joe Exotics.
Yeah, her tigers are in very small cages, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, the hypocrisy is just so disgusting." People will come over to her zoo and be like, "Oh, Carol, I've loved what you've done with the place. These tigers have so much place to roam, and they're just in a small cage."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you do all this with them," and they're like, they just have to meet some sort of compliance, like with the certain size of the cage, and they did.
Yeah.
And,
They're
like, they probably did
they've
the
got
bare
an
minimum
official
because there was.
endorsement of some sort.
Yeah,
I just
I think that because I think the GW Zoo had to do it as well.
I just have to I'll get this out of the way first. Pretty much all the people they profiled are not great people. They range from bad to worse, except like some of the people who were like actually working there, like the Shaggy Rogers looking motherfucker who worked at Joe Exotic
Yeah.
Zoo. He seemed like a good guy who just cared about the animals.
Well, the guy found the job on he found the job on Craigslist, and he was like, "Well, I never played with a tiger, so hell, why not?"
Yeah.
They did it, and he was just, and I don't know. I guess Joe Exotic really didn't have the best business
Acumen.
like sense for hiring employees.
He
Because
was
he would
a
just-
patsy in perhaps the most pure sense of the word there.
Yeah, he would just take recently released.
Well, I think that was shrewd of
felons
him
and shit
because
like that.
who else is he going to get to work for him for like what they were being offered as compensation? Like the issue is like these cats should not be in like these fucking DIY zoos. I think Big Cat Rescue, GW, and Doc Antel's place are all they're not. It's very clear when you listen to what went wrong with GWZ, it's very clear that none of them can afford the overhead necessary to provide these animals with the care they need.
This is a job for a game preserve.
Yes, professionals who know what they're doing. I'm not against breeding tigers into captivity, and I think what Joe and Doc say about it being a wonderful teaching tool. Because if you watch a video of a tiger, like you don't get the same feeling of majesty as you do if you're up close with one at a zoo. It's a very good conservation teaching tool. And you can see, like, the saddest part is at the very end of this documentary, they show some old clips of Joe Exotic back when he was just Joe Trivogel and he was like a park ranger or something like that. And he's giving an interview to local news and he's petting the tiger and he's like, yeah, the tigers, they're beautiful creatures, but its place is in Africa or India, not here in Oklahoma. Like he understood it at one point, but then, the idea of the celebrity just kind of got to him. And I think he lost his way.
Well, it's bizarre. So, also in the beginning of the docuseries, he was talking about his start and how he started off on just trying to make it with a few tigers, and part of it was like going on stage and teaching about conservation efforts, and he wanted to bring flair to it and started doing magic
That was the
shows.
best. He like fucking a kid in middle school taught him
He
magic.
hired some like 8th grade kid to teach him magic, and I was just like, what the fuck? Dude, so like, yeah, he started from like from a humble beginnings, and over time building this, I guess sort of like a tiger empire. People reached out to him and tried to make him famous and giving him a reality TV show, and that went to his head.
Yeah.
And over time you saw how I guess not power hungry, but like how big his ego got. Like he took that Tiger King persona and made that him. And I think the most telling part was when the producer, who's this decently big producer, for
Yeah,
other
he'd
shows,
worked
or he was a
in
reporter for other
TV
shows.
before.
Yeah, so he had like history, he had experience. So he was actually qualified to do what he was doing. But he helped produce the Joe Exotic internet show on the side with his main reality TV show, and he was telling the camera, is telling people like there was one morning, there were mornings where he would like just turn into a different person when we started the cameras up. and he would start fights for no reason. He would yell at people. He would fire people on camera, just to make good TV.
Yeah.
And I think after the camera stopped rolling, there was a point where he kept that persona going, which is really where he started the downturn.
It's unfortunate that in all this posturing, that's one of the things I disliked most about Carol Baskins, is that she'll posture and say, "Oh, we want to save these cats and all that," but she was just as complicit in all the things that she wanted to stop as the other two were. There's really no difference between Big Cat Rescue functionally and Doc Antell's place or the GW Zoo, except maybe they have more money behind them, I guess is the.
Yeah, it seems like they had more money because they fed the tigers more. Because they were talking a little bit about monitor stuff. They said to feed a tiger. I forgot
So
what it was,
Doc Antell said that to properly feed a tiger, it's
like a month.
$10,000 a year or something like that. And of course that scales up as you get more and more tigers. Joe Exotic with his Walmart meat truck said that he was able to feed a tiger for $3,000 a year.
It's not DiGiorno, it's the meat truck.
But when you scale your operation up to 227 tigers or whatever the fuck he had, you're still looking at millions of dollars, or maybe it was 10,000 a month or something like that. So they did the math for you, and they're like, so you're spending $750,000 a year feeding these tigers? That's a lot of money. It's hard to operate at that kind of overhead. And as a result, none of these places were able to really appropriately pay their employees.
Yeah. I mean, look at Carol Baskins. She had her whole system was run on volunteer work.
Yes,
and this unpaid internship. And
12-hour days, no pay. They're on Christmas, which obviously there are Jewish people or non-religious people. That's not a big deal, but no days off sort of thing. I understand the tigers got to eat every day.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some people.
That was flabbergasting to me.
Yeah, to voluntarily
I guess,
do that.
I guess if you're going to school trying to get if you volunteer maybe part-time, only during the summers or the winter or something like that, and you're going to school, because there were some younger kids too. I was trying to look at the dynamic of age ranges. Most of them seem
mostly
to be
women, middle-aged women, which is kind of odd to me.
Yeah. Well, they're the more compassionate ones.
I'll offer this as a counterpoint.
All right.
In that her workforce or volunteer force, as far as I can tell, was at least an order of magnitude larger than on either of the other farms, in sort of the many hands make light work business. I'll say business plan. A better word might be work plan. And it seems, I think of all of them, that one was probably the most, I'm not going to say efficient, effective. It's the most concrete sort of hierarchical structure.
Oh, for sure.
In that you have many levels of involvement. And I think, I don't know as I can be fully pitying the people who get all the way up to doing 12-hour unpaid things, because that's something that they've decided that they wanted to work towards.
Honestly, I agree with what you're saying, that it's a volunteer thing at the end of the day. These people are willingly offering their time. But it's still exploitation of unpaid labor for a for-profit industry. Big Cat Rescue technically probably files taxes as a charitable organization, but they're run for profit. You can very clearly see that throughout the series. Which, I mean, again, they're volunteers. They're willingly doing it, but it's still kind of...
I think this point is a good segue to talk about the actual style of the docuseries. I didn't... I'll make it known here that I didn't really care about a lot of the content. I'm like, oh, okay, it's terrible people and big cats. Cool. Watch as they all crumble under their own fucking weight. I was more interested in the way that the guy presented the
Yes,
documentary.
that was very
in
interesting.
That there's a lot of different ways. Like, I didn't think about it because I don't watch a lot of documentaries, but there are a lot of fucking different ways to present a lot of nonfiction evidence and documentation. And this one, I think, caught a lot of people because he seemed to do it in the rabbit hole style. And by that, I mean, you throw up a lot of shit and you and it's not even you just let it sit there. You really make a point of like, here, I'm dangling this little tidbit of information in front of you. You want to go check it out? You want to go down this little fucking hole? You want to go down this rabbit hole? You want to stick your dick in my rabbit hole?
That's one thing I noticed.
And
they
see what bites.
did a wonderful job setting the hook for the next episode at the end of each episode. Like there was this new development in the saga, and they gave you a little preview of it, a little snippet of it, and then they just cut it off right before they got into the meat of it. So it's like, okay, well, I got to figure out what the fuck happens here. Also, I found it very interesting on how they presented the people. In the beginning, they were portraying Joe, like when they first introduced you to the different people, they portray them in a fairly positive light. But then, as the series goes on, they do more and more, I don't want to call it character assassination, but they present more and more of the dirty laundry that they uncovered on these people. Yeah. So, like, your initial impression of Carol Baskins is like, oh, okay, so she's an animal rights activist. She's not taking great care of the tigers, or any greater care of the tigers than that. But then you get further on, and it's like, oh, yeah, she probably murdered her husband. My favorite, like one of the things that's like, really, you're gonna say this on camera, woman, was when they were talking about when Joe Exotic got dragged by the tiger.
Which is one of the clips that they fucking opened the docuseries with, which hooked me in so hard. When I just saw somebody just get messed around with at the foot, and then they're just dragged by a tiger. I'm like, I'm in.
But she's like, yeah, they wouldn't put perfume or something on there. They put like sardine oil. It's like, woman, what the fuck are you doing? Coming up with that specific ass example,
Carol.
When like it's very clear that a lot of people think that you use tigers to dispose of a body.
I wouldn't do that to kill a person. Come on.
And that fucking segues into like the voice of the narrator, and that he's just like, he's talking to all these people, but it's very implicit by the way he's filming them. It's like, I don't trust any of these people. I'm filming them, but I don't give a shit about any of them. I don't trust them. And that biggest one, I think, like the biggest like scary upfront personality to me was Doc. Because one, he has fucking sociopath eyes, and he's got the sociopath demeanor, where he can just, that was the big one where they showed him for a couple seconds before he started his shot, and he was off, and then he turns on, which is when he very much like I am a lizard in human
he
skin.
Directed his own introductory segment. He's like,
and he has every argument prepared in advance. He's ready to catch everyone in their own traps because he probably has done all of that himself. Yeah. He's got the cult leader personality.
He's not gonna answer certain questions, or he's very specific about the way he answers questions, because he doesn't want that taken one out of context or used against him. Because he's like, I know how this works. He's like, I know how this works. He's like, you're gonna. This is a gotcha moment. You're gonna use this. You can use this in the court of law.
And he's got that. I'm not their intensity. I'm not all their intensity.
Yeah, and he's a fucking cult leader.
Yeah, like cult of.
But his name is. He calls himself Bhagavan.
Yeah.
He's a doctor in the mystical arts. He's Doctor Strange.
A doctor of mystical science.
Mystical science.
Yeah, they're interviewing and again, like the former drug kingpin who did jail time comes across as the most decent human being out of all these people, and they're at his place talking about his animals, and he has only a few animals, and you can tell that he cares quite a bit for them, especially his wife with their chimps. She's got all the fucking baby clothes
my
for
God.
for every holiday and season. And they're going through like, the photo albums, and he's close with Doc Antle, and they're like, "What's he a doctor of?" And she's like, "Mystical science." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Here I thought he actually had like a PhD, and that's why he came across as like, articulate and stuff. But no, he's just a fucking creepy cult leader con man who has sex slaves.
Yeah. The
Oh my God.
drug guy is like the old money of being a crazy big animal owner, where
Yeah.
like they know how to hide it. They really know how to hide it.
Well, like the people tried to get in on the first time, and they couldn't get in. And like it's like not super.
He needed
open to
an
the public.
appointment because it's a private residence.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's his home. So yeah, he doesn't operate a zoo. He just has exotic animals as pets, which you shouldn't do. Just as a PSA.
PSA guys.
Like there's a
don't.
reason these animals are not commonly available as pets. They have not been domesticated. They are not fit to coexist with you. Like you can get along with them for a period of time, but they're still a wild animal that at any time can like
they're
go wild. And
like something
There are
happened
very
during
there
the
are
show.
very few whole bodies in this show.
Like during the docuseries, and one of the things that gets brought up all the time is that when what's her name, Shay or something,
Yeah, Saf.
Saf. It's Saf.
Saf.
When Saf got her arm ripped off, this tiger was probably born there or raised there, and it got to the point where it was too big, wasn't useful for cub petting, and she was going to feed it or something, do something with it, stuck her arm in the cage and got her arm ripped off.
yeah.
And then actually one of the interesting parts was they talked more about it, and they said that her arm was just mangled by it. So it didn't get completely ripped off. The tiger wasn't gnawing on it, but it was so badly damaged that the doctor said, well, you can go through years of physical
2
therapy
years of reconstructive
to
surgery.
repair it. Yeah, you can repair it. We can repair it. It'll take a lot of time and money. Or we can amputate it right here and get you on your way. And she could have sued Joe Exotic for
All he was
a lot of
worth.
money and ruin him. And like Joe said in that clip when he was taking care of her, he was like, I will never financially recover from this.
Yeah.
Because he was expecting a lawsuit. He was expecting all this stuff for damages. And she was in a right. But because she loved tigers so much, she was like, cut it off. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Let me get back to work. Which was
Fucking
fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy how attached these people.
And just crazy. It's just, that's what it is. It's fucking lunacy.
Yeah, it takes a different
she
kind of
would do
cat to take care of big cats.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the role of the government towards the end of the docuseries? I enjoyed it. Just the fact that the way it came out was as this big fucking machine that didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was just start squeezing, and all the shit just came out. They're just like, we'll wait for they all went full crab bucket right at the end.
Backstabbing sons of bitches. So all they had to do was put a little pressure on one, and the whole house of cards came tumbling down.
Because you have a lot of Joe's people aren't highly educated. They all have a lot of shit that they can be leveraged against them. So when you start putting pressure on that and say, hey, you broke your probation, so you can either go back to jail for 5 years or give up this guy who you've known for a couple of years and who pays you shit and tells you to work with big cats. Like, are you gonna give that up? Okay, good. Yeah. And it was interesting that the person who they actually got to squeal was the business guy. What was his name?
The fat guy who looks like Anthony from Linus Tech Tips.
Yeah.
That's all I could think looking at him. I'm like, oh my God, Anthony.
Oh my God, you're so right.
What happened to you,
A little
man?
bit more hair. Yeah, this guy. So Joe Exotic, throughout the series, gets sort of in business with like a bunch of people from Vegas. So there's a character named Jeff Lowe who's done pretty much every crime in the book.
A person
And-
named Jeff Lowe. These are actual people. I feel the need to reiterate.
Did I say character? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you said character.
They're all fucking characters to me.
They're certainly characters, but they are actual real people that you should be
Yeah.
wary of.
Yeah, there's a fucking weirdo actual human named Jeff Lowe who has sex with multiple women with his girlfriend Lauren on tigers. He uses tigers as a lure to get women into his hotel rooms, which is fucking crazy.
That's the creepiest sentence that's ever been uttered on this show.
He lures women back to his hotel with tigers, and then sleeps with them with his girlfriend. And so he's got a lot of connections, but he's also like what was his father or uncle was like a big circus
circus guy.
and he had like this massive circus with that just would have all exotic
with
animals
a big
Yeah.
old animal collection.
So he has this fortune behind him as well.
Well,
They never really went into like the financials. They said he was
So
like
it
renting his
seems.
house,
Fortune.
but the guy did have money though.
he was a paper millionaire.
Well-
like it's like the same way that our president has a lot of money. Like he doesn't have a lot of liquid cash, but he's able to like leverage loans and stuff because of like he has a lot of ways he can manipulate debt to make it seem like he has a lot of money, but he doesn't actually have a lot of money. Which is why, his business partner at the zoo was
Case in
getting so
point.
frustrated because he was having to front all the money for the construction.
Right. And the fact that he seemed to be doing the construction and they did not hire a construction company. I like episode 2. That was very interesting where they showed all the places that it bought from him. I looked because I knew like there are some zoos in the area, and right in New York State, fucking right in the dang smack middle, which is fucking Syracuse. I'm like, oh, it's the Rosamund Gifford Zoo. They totally bought their tigers from this guy because that's the zoo in Syracuse, in the middle of New York State. And I saw that one giant pin. I'm like, okay, yep, that's what it is. Is there a zoo in Buffalo, Jake?
Yeah. I'm wondering if I should go back and look at that map and see if there's the Buffalo one.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
See if your local zoo has fucking bought illegal animals from these guys.
I guess it'd be nice if like a zoo would buy them from them because I can only assume you're gonna get better treatment.
Yeah, that's like rescuing a dog at that
Yeah.
point. I kind of look at that because they're going to be able to get appropriate food and veterinary care.
Yeah, because I think zoos are just a little bit more managed.
Well, they have more money
than a
behind
private
them.
industry, and then more money, more foot traffic, and yeah. So
Professionals, trained professionals.
yeah, trained professionals. They don't do their own fucking veterinary work, which
That-
is like a huge fucking red flag.
That was skeeved me the fuck out, man. I was like, they're not so bad to their tigers. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're doing our own vet work. I'm like, oh, no.
Well, like not only did they do like just vet work where like they repaired a cut, but there's a documentary. I think there's another documentary on YouTube where I think it shows him castrating a tiger, and then I think they cook up the tiger balls. I don't know if the tiger balls were real when they were doing it, but like they were straight up castrating a tiger, by themselves and without professional work. So there was
Or
a
anesthetic
lot of,
or any of that, yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that was probably under the table that they were doing themselves that they should not have. They weren't licensed to do.
Yeah,
Well,
they were
certainly
injecting
euthanizing
them with shit, too, like to keep them calm for transporting. It's like, I don't trust some person out of bumblefuck
You gotta really weigh that.
Oklahoma to...
Yeah, the Joe Exotic's just like, give him 3 cc's of this. It's like, how do you know? Like, what training?
Wasn't that a question in your freshman chemistry
Yes,
class, Kurt?
we had a question where we got this huge organic compound to look at, which was mayotoxin. And the question, one of the questions, there were a lot of questions associated with the drawing, was if the lethal dose of mayotoxin is X number of milligrams per kilogram, how much would it take to kill a T-Rex of this weight? And I was like, what the fuck kind of question? Are you running Jurassic Park in your backyard? Why do you need me to tell you this?
So that was widely considered a bullshit question by all the students. And that is essentially the same wheelhouse of questions that they had to do every time they wanted to trank an animal.
Like, that's the kind of stuff you have to figure out. And if I, fairly, like almost an honor grad of a top 50 ranked material science program, struggled with that sort of question, what does a man with a high school education from Oklahoma think of a question like that?
Well, he's got experience.
Does he? Did he study under a vet?
Real world experience of just doing it over and over, trial and error.
Which side do you want to err on that? Is that, do you want to overdose and kill your fucking tiger, or do you want to underdose and have it start to like wake up and come at you?
That I would rather err on the side of underdosing personally, because I don't want to kill the fucking thing. And, if you're quick about it, you should be okay. It'll at least, it won't be as fast. Like, it won't be able to like get you with like tiger, like cat-like reflexes. It'll be a more even playing field.
There's so many funny clips from this, like the chimpanzee clip, where they're like, "You want to go inside there with the? Would you go inside there with the chimps?" And it's like, "Hell no!" It's like, "No, kill me." Meanwhile, he's just around 5 tigers, just petting them all.
Chimps kind of creep me out a little bit. It's an uncanny valley thing. Because they're so eerily close to humans, but so creepily far from them that it's like really unsettling to watch them. Because we're all primates. They're just not quite as high a primate, and they interact and stuff like humans, and they have a lot of human characteristics. But you look at them and you're like, that's not a human. Why is it behaving like that?
Yeah, it's like whenever I have to go to like Alabama for like for work trips, I just look at the people around there. I'm like, whoa.
Nice, Jake.
See what I did there?
Nice.
I have been to Alabama
See what you did there.
once for space camp in Huntsville, Alabama, which has the highest concentration of PhD per capita in the entire world, because all that's there is the fucking space camp and like testing facility. But there is a kiosk in one of the main buildings at the space camp with nearby attractions. And would any of you like to guess what the closest nearby attraction was? What it was and how far away it was? Would any of you like to guess?
You told me once upon a time, but I have since forgotten.
I have no idea.
Because it was not memorable.
I think it's kind of memorable. It stuck with me. It was a coonhound cemetery, like the dog, and it was 37 miles away.
Coonhound cemetery. Famous coonhounds.
That is it in the entire city. There's the space camp and the coonhound cemetery. 37 miles between the two of them.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's definitely something Alabama would have. Damn, who else are we talking about in this? So, talk about the government role.
Well, before we move off of chimpanzees, I just want to mention that one part where he's like, Did I accidentally just separate these chimpanzees for 10 years and deprive them of the social contact that they so like readily needed? Yeah.
He had this
he had
revelation,
remorse.
this reflective revelation at the end of his journey where he's just like, these guys were brothers. Like I fucking screwed them over so hard for their entire life.
I think at the end he was pretty remorseful of, how everything went down. They went into his political campaigns where he ran for president and then governor. He actually won 19% of the vote in Oklahoma for governor, which is a scathing indictment of the state of Oklahoma.
God damn it. Dude, listen to that one guy his campaign manager talk about like being his campaign manager was just hysterical every
It's
single
like
time.
he didn't know anything about politics. His platform became my platform.
It's just, I feel like that's the life of like a good 40% of libertarian campaign
I'm a
managers.
libertarian. I don't like the feds.
just like-
fuck the feds.
So good.
Libertarian.
yeah.
The Libertarian Party is not quite what it was.
They're as free as their
Yeah,
ideals.
exactly. They're free as their blue jeans.
They are an interesting bunch that kind of contort the philosophy of libertarianism to be what they want it to be.
So they go into his stuff, and he was when he was using, I think he was using the
He was embezzling from the zoo.
he was embezzling his zoo profits for campaign contributions and stuff like that. So
and buying condoms with his face on them.
yeah, so there was a time, and I think the biggest setback was when he put the name under Jeff Lowe's name, or the zoo's name under Jeff Lowe's name. Oh, let's not forget that he screwed over his parents too. He like made his mom write out a bunch of loans and like gave him her entire like life savings. To get himself out of so many screwed up situations.
Well,
with
it was
lawsuits and
basically
stuff like that.
one continuous screwed up situation where it was the lawsuit that Big Cat Rescue levied against them for, his harassment of Carol Baskins and copyright infringement, because to get
He
at
did
them,
not help himself with that, with the whole fucking big cat
no,
stuff.
he was,
Stealing their
that's what got him in trouble, because that was like the one tenable thing they could move on with legal action.
Yeah.
And they just did not give up the lawsuit. He transferred from his holding to his husband's holding to his other husband's holding, and then back to him. And they figured if they just ping-ponged ownership, they'd drop the lawsuit eventually because it'd be too much work. But nope, her lawyers were quite vicious.
Yeah, and she had the money to back it up too.
Because, and
But
I
the
guess
thing
this
is-
is where we should talk about how Carol came into her money.
Don Lewis.
Yeah.
Don Lewis was her husband first, and I think that's where she started getting her love of tigers from them. Like Carol Baskin's upbringing is kind of sad. I think she had a lot of misgivings when she was young.
Yeah.
From as a young kid, and then her like parents disowned her because she was allegedly raped by a neighbor, and then she was just walking along the streets, and then Don Lewis came along and picked her up and said, I'll save you.
If you hold this
then-
gun on me.
Oh yeah, that was that's right. It's like, if it make you feel safer, I'll let you hold this gun on me.
What kind of fucking idiot would do that?
I don't know. Let's
Forget
pick up a
her feeling
stranger.
safe. You don't know who this stranger is. They'll just shoot you at the first chance and then take all your shit.
Yeah. So she ended up falling in love with Don Lewis. He obviously had to divorce his wife of like 20 years or whatever that he had this whole
Family
life with. And he had like 3 kids. Was it two or 3 kids with her? And left her for this Carol Baskins down in Tampa,
This
Florida.
bitch Carol Baskins down in Tampa, Florida.
And he was a big cat guy. He was big into the big cats. I don't know, and exotic animals too, I think, as well. So he made this. He started this preserve, and he actually, I think they were doing like cub petting and breeding and stuff like that. He would go down to Cuba. Was it Cuba or Costa Rica? I forgot.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, so he'd go down to Costa Rica all the time, and he would bring back some cats and stuff like that. So, or any
And
more exotic animals that he could find.
he was worth a lot of money. Estimates from everyone in the documentary ranged from $5 to $20 million.
Yeah, it was really unclear. I think the best estimate's probably right in the middle. I think his lawyer, somebody said $7 to $8 million is what he was probably worth. But
That's still a lot of money.
he was a type of person who would hide money too. So I think even from those people, there was probably a lot of money that he would literally bury and just
Yeah,
hide
like
and put
buried
away.
gold
So,
bars. So things start to go sour in the marriage. They don't seem to care for each other too much anymore. And then he up and disappears, but not before changing the language of his last will and testament to, in the event of my death or disappearance, which is kind of an interesting thing to put in your fucking will.
yeah.
All his assets and stuff would be transferred to Carol Baskins. Now, I don't know for sure if Carol Baskins killed her husband. I do believe in innocent until proven guilty, but I will say this. That was not a thorough investigation done by the local authorities at all.
And I think that's a good enough segue as any into all the fucking fallout of this documentary. You know, it'll be interesting. It's interesting to think about how this will affect everyone who is featured in it. And the first thing was they actually said that they were going to reopen the investigation.
There's not a whole lot that can be done at this point. Short of her confession, I don't think any DNA evidence is going to have survived for that long.
Especially if they were eaten by a tiger.
Yeah, but certainly, hopefully, in cross-examination, they will be able to find at least a hole in her story that they can hopefully leverage into a conviction. Also, they made clear at the end of the documentary that the federal investigation is far from over, and they're gearing up to make a run at Jeff Lowe and all these other people.
They're still squeezing. They raided Doc Antel's
property, which is really interesting because one of the biggest claims against Doc Antle was that he was
euthanizing tigers in a gas chamber, which is fucking barbaric.
Like euthanizing them when they were like 3 years old.
As soon as they weren't cubs.
So, yeah, whenever they got out of that cub petting period, when they were too big to profit off of, he would euthanize them. And I'm sure he kept a few around because he had to, come up with
breeding
them.
He has
stock.
quite a few tigers still, but whether or not they were buying them or whatever, none of these people are good, and I hope they all face justice.
So Doc Antle's place was raided. The cult leader, who's got literally, they talked to a previous employee there, who was one of
That's
Doc's
a very
girlfriends.
generous term.
I don't know, employees, girlfriends, wives, whatever.
Weinstein-esque sex slaves.
And they told her the best way to move up in this company, to move up in the ranks of his hierarchy, was to sleep with Doc Antle. Because they said that was how you reach nirvana, is sleeping with this guy, which is fucking baffling. I don't get it.
It's classic. Classic sex cult.
Classic sex cult, and it's ridiculous. He's got houses for each of his wives too, and it's ridiculous. Like we said, I think the biggest thing is that the most sane person in this docuseries was the guy that Scarface was based off of.
The most relatable, least creepy guy was the guy who went to prison because his fucking hitmen killed and cut up a person on his property.
Casually talks about it was an FBI agent. It was an FBI. He casually talks about the dismembering and murder of an FBI agent.
What am I going to say? I didn't kill him. I didn't take the circular saw to his neck, and it's dude.
And he's just casually talking about it.
And here's where I would like to play one game here, and that is, how would each of the exotic animal owners kill you? And how would they do it? My pick first, Joe Exotic. He'd get riled up. He'd get some shit on him, and he'd just, in a flash of heat, he would come out with his shotgun and be like, "You trying to get me?" And he'd bust you in the face. And then he'd come down and be like, "What the fuck did I just do?" Doc Antle, you would say one wrong thing, he'd give you one chance to correct yourself. He's like, "Excuse me?" and you'd say it again, and then he'd snap. He'd kill you in cold blood.
I think he would
and,
poison you.
Then he'd dispose of you in the crematorium.
Poison or
Yeah,
legion
I
to
believe
the gas
that.
chamber.
Yeah.
Carol, I think
Feed you
would
to a tiger.
she'd be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems to be her MO.
Yeah. Or she'd have the gun. She'd be a little scared because she probably doesn't have a lot of firearms experience. She'd be like, and then she'd do what her gun instructor told her to and pop you right between the eyes or center of mass, as it were. And she'd be like, I was just defending myself. That was it. And then cartel guy would, he'd do that thing. He just fucking, however, he wouldn't even give a shit. He's just like, all right, you're going to disappear now.
Bloop.
And then there's the other guy. There's who's the guy who had the monkey down his shirt all the time?
Wasn't he from Ohio or something like that? I forgot what the name of his place was.
Yeah.
I forgot what his name was. But he was the guy who was working with Jeff
Animals
Lowe
in
at the
Need.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah. He and Jeff Lowe would roll up in a posse with their ARs to your trailer at night and
Or
just
they'd
gun you down from
send what's his
outside.
face, Alan, to kill you.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh God, Alan.
That good for him that he fucking chickened out when he realized the value of taking a human life.
No, I think he just spent the money on blow.
And he was also amped up on
Yeah.
fucking cocaine. Yeah, cocaine and alcohol. He's like, well,
That's one thing we didn't talk
I'm
about.
getting coke money. Also, I don't want to kill a person. Go back
That's
to
one
prison.
thing we didn't talk about is the downfall, the final downfall of Joe Exotic, where Joe was charged with hiring
Murder
a
for hire.
hit on murder for hire for Carol Baskins, and the story goes right now that the FBI collected was that Joe Exotic got Jeff Lowe's guy, what is his name, Alan
something or another,
to drive down to Tampa, Florida, and kill her. But there's phone calls and there's proof of him chickening out, and not chickening out, but coming to his senses that $30,000 wasn't enough to kill her, and all this stuff. It was a whole myriad of reasons why he decided to opt out, but he never went down to Florida. But the FBI got him to say and testify that he went to Florida to kill her, but ended up not because it wasn't enough money or something like that.
He went
Because
to a strip club instead.
Yeah, and yeah. So it's a pretty thin case against
Alan
Joe
Glover.
Exotic. Alan Glover. Okay.
Yeah, that's
There's
why.
a pretty thin case against Joe Exotic, and they had to. But what happened was, the charge of that, I think, was able to open up the investigation into his whole operation.
Yeah.
Which they compiled 19 other charges of
They were mostly animal cruelty.
abuse.
And the feds are gonna get
Yeah.
their guy.
They
however
got
they
Al
want to get him.
Capone on tax evasion. None of the other shit that he did.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, Joe's probably right if they had just brought the murder for hire charges, especially because his testimony really could have created reasonable doubt. I think the thing that sunk him, and if he hadn't made all those videos talking about how much he wanted Carol Baskins dead, I think he'd be a free man right now. Because that testimony, if I were a juror, I'd say, you know what? That's reasonable doubt.
Yeah, I think there was definitely reasonable doubt. I think there was reasonable doubt in just the fact that Joe didn't control the guy. I mean, there was testimony that if Jeff Lowe was brought to the stand, he would say they'd probably ask him if Joe had any control over Alan, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Because one of the first things he said to him was this is my guy. He listens to me, not you. Or he works for me. He doesn't work for you.
Yeah, he likely would have perjured himself at best.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that was
Pretty
crazy.
sad.
If you have not seen Tiger King, check it out because it is just fucking crazy. It's not that long.
sends you through so many different emotions too, because there was also stuff with the husband killing himself as well.
Oh yeah, when Travis killed himself. I think that's kind of where Joe really started to go downhill.
Well, like I said, it's a rabbit hole kind of documentary. Lots of little tidbits for you to just be like, man, just to grab onto, and you jump from one to the next. Take some time and explore the series. especially if the content doesn't necessarily interest you that much. If it's not interesting you, you don't have to binge through it. I ran through it because we were doing it this week, but I probably would have taken my sweet fucking time.
I watched the
with this
first
thing.
episode, and I was they hooked me. I was quite interested in it. Like, in a vacuum, I wouldn't necessarily be interested in this sort of thing, but I think they presented it in a way that was interesting and compelling.
And you'll get to be in on the zeitgeist.
So if you have Netflix, like, what else are you gonna do right now? Might as well watch Tiger King.
This really couldn't have come out at like the most opportune time.
Yeah, that's probably why it's such a big thing. Like, I think if people were working, it would be like, you know, to create some buzz. It'd be like, whoa, man, you seen this Tiger King thing? But it wouldn't be
It'd be at least slow, because like this blew up overnight, seemingly.
Yeah.
Yep. And all these people in this documentary have about a couple months or however long, probably longer if this thing lasts longer, to restructure themselves in such a way as to get some distance between them and the general public. Because if the GW Zoo opens up again and it's those guys running it, they're going to get fucking harassed.
They're already going to get harassed.
People are going to be there all. Big Cat Rescue, Big Cat Rescue, you can see them on Facebook and on YouTube, so I'm sure they're getting a lot of fucking hits right now. And like, if you're Carol Baskin, you gotta do something so that people aren't coming up to you and visitors and be like, "Oh, it's so nice, that's great." How do you explain the disappearance of your husband?
Hit with that. But for every bit of that she's getting hit with, donations are coming in from people who think that she's just being harassed. It's the Anita Sarkeesian thing. She was almost sad talking about Joe Exotic going to prison because she knew that she wouldn't have that villain anymore, and the donations would slow. So, like, the best thing you can do to combat Carol Baskins is, like, don't give her supporters fuel to donate. Let the authorities handle it.
It's also really interesting.
Let the crab bucket crumble and get these cats out of here.
Yes,
actually the daughters of Don Lewis like came out on TikTok too, and they were like saying this documentary has. Well, like they're just any social media platform.
I get it. It's just hilarious to hear.
The one I
like
saw
this
was on TikTok where she came out and she was like, "This has been like a real godsend to us because they were afraid for so long to confront Carol Baskins, and now this has kind of given them like maybe a light at the end of the tunnel."
Yeah.
If not getting Carol Baskins, they just want closure on what happened to their father.
Yes, exactly. They deserve closure.
And I think that's what bothers them the most.
Yeah, so Tiger King, definitely worth a watch if you've got nothing else going on right now. It's like, what, 7 episodes? About an hour each, so not too bad. Chop it up, watch a couple episodes here, watch a couple episodes there. Before you know it, you'll be done with the whole thing. I watched this thing in like the course of 2 days because I just got hooked.
Same.
Took me a little longer, but...
All right, so be sure to swing by the stream tonight. We will be finishing the second DLC, Guns, Love, and Tentacles. We would have finished last week probably, but Peter was a swilly boy, but he's looking...
I'm looking much better.
I was fucking on the brink of passing out.
He's looking quite well these days. I'm also free of my scars. So we'll all be healed up 100%, ready to take that down. If that doesn't take the whole time, we'll maybe bust out Tabletop Simulator or maybe Magic the Gathering Online.
Yeah.
We will see what goes on, but at least Borderlands DLC 2 will continue tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, check out Central Florida Film Review. Support them. Support us by supporting them, and you can also donate to us. We have a donation link in the description of every episode. I haven't plugged that a lot because I know these are hard times. We're okay. So, like, if the choice is between putting food on your table and donating to Saturn Studs, put food on your goddamn table. But
put food on us. Deliver it. I will smear it all over my naked body.
Yeah,
that's our
we'll give you
OnlyFans.
addresses.
That's our only.
And you can just DoorDash it to us.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
P.O. Box. All right, yeah. But until episode 206, be well, stay safe, stay indoors. The better we are about staying indoors and social distancing, the quicker we can get back to normal. Mm-hmm. So until then, take care of yourselves, and we'll party like it's 1995 from a safe distance.
Bye-bye.
Peace.